have prevented even further loss of life. And Hawaii continues to have amongst the lowest rates of infection and fatalities in the nation due to this COVID-19 pandemic. As you all are aware, the current state emergency proclamation is set to expire on November 30th. Today, the mayors and I are announcing the next phase in state and county measures related to COVID-19. Some of the basic measures that have proven to be effective will remain unchanged. This includes the Hawaii Safe Travels Program, the mandatory indoor mask mandate statewide, the requirement for vaccination or testing for state executive or county employees, and the vaccination and testing requirements for contractors and visitors to state facilities. But as we have seen an improvement and stabilization of the virus activity in our community, it really is a good time to pivot state coordination back to the counties. First and foremost, we must continue our response to the COVID emergency. And I intend to sign another emergency proclamation prior to November 29th. However, one significant change in the emergency proclamation is that I will no longer require county coordination of their emergency orders. Counties will be free to act in the best interest of their county in providing restrictions as necessary as we fight the COVID pandemic. This means as of December 1, the counties will no longer need to obtain my or the director of HIEMA's approval prior to issuing a county emergency order, rule, or proclamation. The counties will continue to have direct responsibility for emergency management within their respective counties, and they will perform emergency management functions that likely will continue to include emergency rules, orders, and proclamations or directives as necessary. This is really just a return to the normal emergency situations in which counties are lead and the state provides guidance and support. Emergencies are usually county-specific and county-led with state support. And HIEMA will continue its coordination function in support of county actions. And the State Department of Health will continue to provide health guidance and coordinate the state's emergency response to this health emergency. Second, the executive order that I issued, Executive Order 2108, issued on November 2nd of this year regarding statewide limits for social gatherings, restaurants, bars, and social establishments and gyms will terminate on December 1st. The counties will continue to implement appropriate measures regarding social gatherings and restaurants and other operations. The state will no longer have a statewide order regarding these establishments. Third point I just would want to make is that the number of people requiring hospitalization for COVID is back to the baseline levels before the spike that we experienced in August and September. And actually, the hospitalization numbers are falling to the levels that we saw back in March and April, when we all anticipated that by the 4th of July, we would all be back to normal. Hospitals statewide report that they are well equipped to care for our patients, those with COVID and those just needing usual and customary healthcare. Regarding driver's licenses, I know that this is an issue that comes up with every proclamation. We are stopping the suspension regarding expirations, renewals, instruction permits, and replacements. Everybody needs to make sure that their licenses are up to date. If you are nearing your expiration date, we strongly encourage you to get it renewed. and also consistent with the federal and state implementation of vaccination and testing policies, the state no longer will offer a critical infrastructure workers exemption to the 10-day travel quarantine. Exemptions for persons who previously tested positive for COVID-19 and other exemptions will continue to be considered on a case-by-case basis. As we make progress in this fight against COVID, I just want to remind and encourage everyone, especially from the visitor perspective, that Hawaii is open for business. Domestic travel from the continental US has returned to pre-pandemic levels. Our arrival numbers over the past weekend exceeded 30,000 arrivals per day. The highest, most recent day was 36,000 arrivals on Saturday. We have seen numbers in the past in September and October hover around 17,000 to 22,000 for the last 2 months. During the highest peak this summer, we saw 39,000 visitors arrive here in the islands. So we are seeing travel, especially domestic travel, return to pre-pandemic levels, and we do anticipate that our visitor industry will get back to normal. We also expect international travel to pick up. Flights from Australia will begin in mid-December, and we continue to work with our international travel partners from Canada, Japan, and South Korea to welcome travelers back to the islands in December and the first quarter of 2022. We will continue to closely monitor the COVID conditions here in Hawaii and elsewhere. We expect to see some increase in the number of cases as we work through the holiday period, but we also believe that we are prepared for that increase. We know that our healthcare system is prepared to see any increase in cases. And I think most importantly, we are prepared to move forward with economic recovery and really getting everyone back to work. Before I ask the mayors to speak about how these changes will affect their counties, I just want to take a minute to thank all the mayors. I appreciate the partnership and collaboration that we've shared during this unprecedented pandemic all across the state. The nature of this emergency was like no other in the history of this state and required federal, state, and county coordination like we've never seen before. I'm grateful for the leadership of the mayors and for all of those working to support them, for the actions that we've taken together, the positive disagreements and collaboration that we've had. And I think most importantly, I do share their passion for the health and safety of our community. And finally, I do want to thank the people of Hawaii. We know that we have all had to make sacrifices. We have put our personal luxuries aside in order to protect the health and safety of our community. You've all worn your masks when I've ordered it. You've avoided large gatherings and even postponed important family milestones and events because of your commitment to our community. I'm so proud of the Hawaii response during this pandemic. And I'm excited that most of you have been vaccinated and fully vaccinated. And I do know that we would not be successful without everyone's support. So I really want to thank you. Together, we continue to be able to respond well to this COVID pandemic. And I do know that we will emerge stronger than ever in this fight against COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Ige. Our next speaker is Mayor Rick Blangiardi, City and County of Honolulu.
Good afternoon and aloha. Let me pick up where the governor just finished in the spirit of Thanksgiving. And once again, extend my sincere appreciation, gratitude, and respect for the incredible strength and determination and amazing cooperation we've had from all the residents who live on Oahu, is really, for that matter, throughout the state in our fight against the spread of COVID-19. As we all know, and as you heard, the war is not over against COVID. We know what we're up against. But in that regard, though, because of everybody's actions today, the community has brought us to this point where we can make these announcements. So we had a press conference earlier today. I'm not going to repeat everything I said there. I'm not in the business of having 2 press conferences a day. I did love the acknowledgement from the governor about friendly disagreements, but we've come to a good moment in time now. So I just want to offer some perspective here with respect to the governor, what he said, specifically as it relates to Oahu on a couple of major issues that we were not able to address this morning. First, as you heard, just so you know, it's implied that we are no longer going to require in the restaurants 6 feet of separation with the tables. This is going to be terrific for our smaller restaurants. It is the fabric of our communities, the fabric of how we live. And as the governor just said, we need to get people back to work, get those restaurants staffed again, and get all of us out enjoying time with our family and friends. So we're not going to require the 6 feet of separation. And for that matter, the rule that applies to the 10 indoors and 25 outdoors is also being lifted. As we said this morning, all of our large gatherings, whether indoors or outdoors, we're not going to require any limitations. We're actually going to allow people to serve food at those. We are going to rely on Safe Access Oahu. We know that Safe Access Oahu has worked right from the beginning. It's also helped spur on our vaccination rates. Today, we're at 80% fully vaxxed on the island of Oahu. That's 4 out of 5 people. And as the governor just said, these are among the best numbers in the nation. So we feel really good making these announcements. Then the third point from the city and county of Honolulu is that we're no longer going to require mitigation plans, obviously, for large gatherings. So we feel like we're ready to go. And I want to say it again. We know that we've protected our most vulnerable, and we're going to continue to do so. I was pleased to learn today we have over 150,000 boosters have already been given. Some 17,000 now shots have been given to our young kids from 5 to 12. We enjoy a high level of vaccinations. Let's go forward with great care and concern, knowing that we have done a great job on our vaccinations. And let's all get into celebrating the holidays. So I want to take this time to just wish you and your families a wonderful and blessed happy Thanksgiving. Aloha.
Thank you, Mayor Blangiardi. And we do have Mayor Mike Victorino from Maui County on. Please go ahead, Mayor Victorino.
Aloha, everyone, from the 9th Island. I'm up here at Las Vegas with the Maui Gym, Maui Invitational Tournament, to make sure, number one, it goes off well, and number two, that it returns to Maui next year, and it's our prayer that that happens. I will echo what Mayor Blangiardi has said. It is the people had made the difference. I had a great team, both medically, business, and nonprofits, who've all joined together with my executive team to make things work on Maui County. But it took all of you, not only the people of Maui County, but the people of the state of Hawaii to make and get to this point. And so I want to thank you. Yes, Maui is on the opposite end of the spectrum with the lowest vaccination rate, but yet we continue to have very low numbers and very low positivity. That's somewhat kind of counterintuitive, but it's okay. I think we're in a good place. All the restrictions that Mayor Blangiardi has mentioned already is being implemented in Maui for December 1st when we reduce all these restrictions so people can get back to celebrating and enjoying each other. This Thanksgiving weekend, let's give thanks for all the good things that have come and keep the people we've lost and those who have been sick and have now long-term effects in our prayers each and every day. That somehow the Lord bless them and reason that all of this has happened. It was a good reason. Finally, I'll close with this. I want to thank all the mayors and the governor for the last 20 months of working together. Yes, Derek and I have been on this for 21 months. And really, Mayor Kawakami and I have seen it all. The big surges and the return and opening and closing and everything else. Maui's been very fortunate. Since we opened up last October, we've never had to close back down. We've wrenched it down, we pulled back a little, but we never closed down because the people of Maui County made it work. And to all of those groups that are out there that I mentioned earlier, fondest mahalo. I want to wish everyone a blessed and a happy Thanksgiving. Please enjoy it, and congratulations to all of you for all your hard work. God bless you all. Aloha. Ahui ho.
Thank you, Mayor Victorino. Our next speaker will be Mayor Mitch Roth from Hawaii County. Go ahead, Mayor Roth.
Aloha, and I echo a lot of what has been said by the governor and my fellow mayors, Blangiardi and Victorino. We really want to thank especially our community for getting into this position where we're at. We couldn't be here but for the great people of the county and state of Hawaii. We really appreciate all of you for everything that you've done. I also want to say thank you to my fellow mayors and to the governor for allowing us to have this opportunity to start making our own rules. These rules will allow us, if we need to be, a lot more nimble moving forward. We are, as with everybody else, excited to move forward. We're excited to be open again completely for business. We're excited for our kids and our kupuna, for the ability to be involved with recreational activities, sporting activities, having people go and see their kids, play games is super important. But I also want to talk with a little bit of caution that, well, we've got to this point now. We're looking around the world, and we know that we have some surges, and so we also want to echo the governor's warnings that we're not completely out of the woods, and we ask people just to have some common sense, to do the right things. Whether you're out there, try not to congregate, wash your hands, and just be mindful of our community, because this is all our kuleana moving forward. So for those of you who have not been vaccinated, we still recommend vaccination, booster shots, everything else to keep safe. Really, I just want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you. Aloha.
Thank you, Mayor Roth. Our next speaker is Jason Chang, the COO of the Queens Health Systems and President of the Queens Medical Center. Mr. Chang.
Thank you, and aloha. It's been quite a journey the last 2 years, and especially the last 90 days where we've come from. Today, we have 12 patients in our Punchbowl Hospital and 4 at the West Oahu Hospital. Only 1 is in the ICU, and so we've come tremendously far from the days where we had 100 and almost 80 patients and almost 90 patients that were requiring ICU level of care in space that was designed for 57 patients. And so I want to thank our civic leaders, our elected officials, for helping to guide us through the last 2 years, and in particular, this last wave. I'm excited about the economic recovery that's ahead of us, and want to encourage everybody to get vaccinated. I think the one thing that will prevent us from having an additional wave in the future is getting vaccinated. So Moderna and Pfizer are both available to everyone that is 18 years and older. Please seek a booster shot if you are of that age. And then for children, the 5 through the 11-year-olds are now available for boosters or for vaccination. And we highly encourage, there's 120,000 kids out there. The governor mentioned that 17,000 have been vaccinated thus far. That leaves 100,000 that are still unvaccinated. My children got vaccinated. In fact, they get their second shot tomorrow, and they had no symptoms. So it's safe. We know it's effective. It'll help prevent us from going backwards and getting ourselves back on the path to economic recovery. We also want to encourage people that if you feel sick, the hospital is still very full. And these are not from COVID. These are from patients that are coming in just very sick, other conditions. And so we want to encourage you to see your doctor if you have been avoiding them. It's safe to do so. Your doctor's offices have done a tremendous job making sure that they are safe and they can take care of all of the preventive and wellness issues that you have. And then finally, we really want to say, it's in the spirit of Thanksgiving. We want you to be cautious. We want you to be responsible. We want you to enjoy your Thanksgiving and give thanks for everything that we've been able to accomplish this past year and beyond. It's a tremendous amount. And I just want to say thank you to all of you and have a very safe Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chang. Our next speaker is Mr. Greg Maples from the Hawaii Restaurant Association.
Aloha. The irony of having this meeting today in this place is not lost on me, because it was March of 2020 that we met with the governor for the first time right in the room adjacent to us. Myself and some of the other executive members of the board of Hawaii Restaurant Association met with the governor and his team to discuss the guidelines that we wanted to implement and to work with the governor's team on for the upcoming next couple of months. And at the time, we didn't think it was going to be this long. And so the fact that we're here 20 months later, making the announcement of the easing of these restrictions and mandates is just a wonderful, wonderful day. And it couldn't have come at a better week, the week that we give thanks and Thanksgiving. And so I'm here to do a couple of things. One is to express our sincere thanks to the governor and to all the mayors, because from day one, our association has had free access to be able to give them what's going on, their offices, tell them what's going on, talk to them about our concerns. They've heard us, they've worked with us. We've not always agreed and not always got what we want, but we were heard. And that has been something we've been extremely grateful for. And while our elected officials don't always get pats on the back, I think it's appropriate at this time that we do that. We're just so grateful to been able to be at the table. Now, we know that restaurants have had some of the strictest guidelines and they've had some of the toughest times in the last 20 months. But today, the light at the end of the tunnel is no longer the train. It is really a light, and we're seeing it and we're excited about it. And so as you go about the holidays, we, with the enthusiasm, I can't tell you, ask you to visit your local restaurants, embrace them. You'll see tables and chairs coming out again that have been put into storage for a while. You'll see fast food restaurants that will now allow you to sit in their dining rooms and order from counters that hadn't been able to before. And this is exciting times. And with that, we extend our blessing to everybody in Hawaii. And we're so thankful for those members of our community who have supported the restaurants during these tough times. My favorite restaurant is a Mexican restaurant, and they've been takeout for this whole time. But my wife and I have loved going there, and we've loved giving them our business, whether we could sit in there or sit in my truck and eat our food. We have enjoyed going there, and we'd encourage you this holiday season to go out to the restaurants and visit them. And with that, a great big mahalo to everybody. Aloha.
Thank you. That concludes the prepared remarks for today. Reporters, I see Max Geibel has a question. Go ahead, Max.
Thank you. Yes, my question is for Mayor Roth. Mayor Roth, I was just curious if come December 1st, we on the Big Island can expect anything significant to change right away or shortly thereafter.
Yeah, so our rules committee is meeting, and so we do intend on making some big changes, but today is not our day to announce those rule changes, but we will have those out in the next couple of days.
Thank you. Nicole Tam, KITV. Go ahead, Nicole.
Thanks, Cindy. My question is for Governor Ige. Governor, can you talk about the need to keep the Safe Travels program despite loosening other restrictions? And when do you anticipate to eliminate that program if you have that desire?
Nicole, we do believe that safe travels in general will continue. We believe it's important for those trans-Pacific travelers who are not vaccinated and who are not completing a pre-travel test to be subject to quarantine. And that's the best thing that we can do to keep our community safe. We are hopeful that all across the country that they will follow Hawaii's lead and get vaccinated. We are seeing about 2/3 of the travelers to the islands are fully vaccinated. There still is a third that are subject to quarantine or pre-travel testing. And so that's why it's important that we continue to have the Safe Travels program in place.
Thank you. Next reporter is John Burnett from the Hawaii Tribune Herald. Go ahead, John. John?
My question is also for the governor.
Okay. Go ahead, John.
My question's about cruise ships. The CDC conditional sail order right now is set to expire on January 15th. The Department of Transportation said they hope to get cruise ships going sometime in January. They've been very vague about that. Do you have a more specific date? Is the 15th or 16th after the expiration of the CDC conditional sale order? Is that the date you have in mind?
So just a couple things. We will be requiring, the state of Hawaii will be requiring memorandum of agreement with all of the cruise lines prior to a resumption of cruises to the islands. We have been working with all the cruise lines. They are implementing strict standards consistent with the CDC guidance. At this point in time, we don't have any specific cruises that have been approved and scheduled for return trips to the islands at this point in time. We are working with all of the cruise lines to finalize the operating procedures, and then we'll be announcing when cruises will begin again.
Thank you. Our next reporter is Max Rodriguez from KHON. Go ahead, Max.
Yes, thank you. This question is for Mayor Blangiardi. Just checking if people will be able to mingle inside restaurants, and will this lifting of restrictions also applies to bars?
So what's your definition of mingle?
I guess can two parties didn't show up together, can they hang out and talk with each other?
Yeah, I think they can. Yes, that's what we're saying. But we're going to ask for people to wear their mask indoors when they're not actually eating and drinking. But yeah, mingle away.
And how about bars? How will the rules at bars work?
Yes. Yeah, we as been said, countless times. I mean, I guess we're in a new norm, but sense of normalcy here. So, we're going to allow people to go to the bars, go to restaurants, sit at stools, as I think Greg talked about, or anywhere else, and just have life as it is. But not if you're not eating or drinking, we're expected to wear your mask, and that's the only requirement.
Thank you, Mayor. Wendy Osher from Maui Now. Wendy, go ahead.
Hi, this question is for Managing Director Boz or Mayor Victorino, if he's still on the line. Can you speak specifically to what Maui's rules will be regarding limits for businesses described as high risk come December 1st? This is for restaurants, bars, and gyms specifically.
Looks like Mayor Victorino is going to take that question.
Great.
I'm on again. I'm sorry, I was muted. Sorry about that. Okay, can you ask that question again, Wendy, please?
Sure. Can you speak specifically to what Maui's rules will be regarding limits for businesses described as high risk come December 1st? So we're talking about restaurants, bars, and gyms.
For the restaurants, we are going with the same rules. No 6-foot distancing, 100% capacity, and so long as they're either vaccinated and or tested prior to coming to the establishment, they can sit in the establishment itself. For outdoors, no rule, again, you can sit there if you don't have. For the others like gyms and other, what I call high traffic areas, we'll let them go up to 100% capacity, but physical distancing still will be required. I'm looking into with Dr. Pang and other medical people to make sure that we're able to drop those other restrictions as far as physical distancing is concerned. Outdoors, there's no restrictions. When it comes to sporting events, fans will now be able to get together. But if you're indoors, the mandate for indoor wearing of masks will still exist. I think statewide as well as in Maui County. I hope that answers your question, Wendy.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next reporter is Mahealani Richardson from Hawaii News Now. Go ahead, Mahealani.
Thanks. This question is for the governor. Gov, in the past, you had said that unmanaged large social gatherings were bad. So now in December, private homes will definitely be having parties with dozens, maybe even hundreds of people. How comfortable are you with that?
We are going to ask everyone in our community to remain vigilant, and certainly we would expect that although my plans for the holiday season is definitely that we will have gatherings. We are also aware that we're not through the pandemic at this point in time. So we would encourage people to use common sense. If they have people who are traveling from out of state who may be coming from states with high virus activity, we certainly would encourage those travelers to isolate at least until they can be clear of symptoms. We hope that they are vaccinated. And certainly we do expect increased activities during the holidays. And so we encourage everyone to use common sense.
Thank you. Our next reporter is Blaze Lovell from Civil Beat. Go ahead, Blaze.
Thanks, Cindy. And Governor, if you could stay up there, because my question is for you. You're saying we're expecting some more activity during the holiday season. Do you expect a surge to happen heading into this weekend or during Christmas?
It's hard to predict, and certainly we do expect an increase in virus cases as people become more active. But we do feel that we're in a good position. Our healthcare system has recovered from the surge this summer. We are seeing the number of COVID patients in our hospitals return to the pre-surge numbers. So, we know that the hospitals still continue to be rather full with regular patients, but we don't see and we don't believe that the current virus cases would be a huge, overwhelming concern. So we encourage everyone to continue to wear their mask and maintain physical distance, use common sense. We all know what it takes to avoid getting infected with the virus, and we certainly would encourage that. And for those who are not vaccinated, we continue to recommend that you get vaccinated.
Thank you. Nina Wu, Star Advertiser. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Governor Ige. This is.
Hey, Nina, we just lost you. Can you unmute?
Yes, hi there. A lot of people want to know when the indoor mask mandates will be dropped. And so I thought I would see what your perspective was on that. Will it be the last restriction to go? And when will you feel comfortable with dropping it?
Certainly, Nina, one of the things, I was on a call with other governors and the White House this morning. And a lot of the discussion, and I've had personal conversations with governors in other states in the last 6 to 8 weeks. The number one comment that I got from governors was that they regretted dropping a mask mandate, and they felt that dropping that too early contributed to the surges that they saw in their states. So in speaking with healthcare professionals, they continue to say that wearing a mask indoors, especially in crowded situations, does help limit the spread of COVID-19. So based on the recommendations from Dr. Char and the state epidemiologists, we do anticipate that we will continue to have a requirement for wearing a mask indoors.
All right, thank you, Governor. We're going through the next round of reporter questions here. So we'll start with Max Rodriguez. Max, go ahead. KHON.
Yes, I just wanted to follow up regarding travel with Governor Ige. Just if he could just share overall if he has any concerns regarding how they travel and what do people need to remember if they're traveling over Thanksgiving this year. I kind of just reinforce that message.
So thanks for that question. I traveled out of state for the first time to attend COP26 all the way in Scotland. And certainly I was concerned during that trip. I did wear an N95 mask on the flights as I made my way across the country. I certainly would encourage those who decide to travel. The airlines still require wearing a mask during the flights. I certainly would encourage you to wear a mask. I actually was wearing a double mask, the N95 and another cloth mask. I would say that we all know the actions that we can take individually to reduce the possibility of getting infected with COVID. And as we see the vaccination rates increase across the country, we know that more people are getting vaccinated. But certainly, I think we all understand what we can do individually to reduce the chances of getting infected with the virus.
Great, thank you, Governor. Next reporter is Mahealani Richardson. Hawaii News Now. Go ahead, Mahealani.
This question is for Governor Ige. With, I believe it's 90% of the population now 5 and over vaccinated, at what point can you just drop all restrictions?
Mahealani, we continue to look at the various indicators, the virus activity. Virus activity in the state of Hawaii is still substantial according to the CDC guidance. And so I think all of us wishes that it was lower. We do know when we're averaging 100 per day that if we let our guard down, it would not take a whole lot to see that escalate very rapidly. So, I know that I've been asked several times about and metrics or an indicator. It's just not that simple. We do look at a wide number of things. We do look at test positivity rates. We look at the number of active cases. We feel comfortable at this point in time to relax some of the restrictions. We all continue to encourage everyone to use common sense, to wear their masks, to avoid large gatherings. Those are still opportunities to get infected with the virus, and they will continue to do so and be so. So we are at a better place than we were 3 months ago, but we are still not finished with the pandemic. As you know, we are seeing surges all across Europe. We're seeing surges in South Korea, New Zealand, and other international destinations. So we do know that when we drop our guards, we can see a surge in cases, and then we have to take action to keep our community healthy and safe.
Thank you. Our next reporter question comes from Nina Wu, the Star Advertiser. Go ahead, Nina.
Oh, actually, sorry, I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, you're good. All right. What about John Burnett, Hawaii Tribune Herald? John?
This one's for Mayor Roth.
Okay, we'll see if he's still on. Yep, he's still here. Go ahead, John.
Mr. Mayor, you said that you would have some big things coming, but you're not ready to announce them yet. Now, Mayor Blangiardi and Mayor Victorino have both announced that they aren't going to have the 6-foot distance necessarily in the restaurants, and that restaurants can operate at full capacity. Are you at the point that Big Island restaurants are going to be able to follow suit on this?
I've agreed to meet with some community people and some people in the hospitality industry as well. And so while we have some ideas of what we're going to do, rather than come out with those ideas, I still have some people I want to listen to. And I think after today's announcements, they're probably going to be pretty happy, but I'd rather wait to make that announcement until after I've had a chance to listen to them and meet with our rules committee again.
Are gathering sizes going to be a part of what you're going to announce soon?
I can almost guarantee that gathering size will be part of that.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Nicole Tam, KITV. Go ahead.
Thanks, Cindy. This question is for the governor, please. Because more gatherings are expected, do you think there's a need to expand COVID-19 testing capabilities statewide? And if there is, what are some of your plans?
We continue to have an active testing program. We've been working with all the counties. Testing is widely available. We do know that it follows the surges. When we see an increase in cases, that the demand for testing increases significantly. as the case counts have dropped, fewer people are getting testing. We know that availability of testing is an important part of our strategy, and we will continue to make sure that test and being able to get tested is an active part of our strategy to fight COVID-19. We've been working on the call with the White House this morning. I specifically asked, we have been working to procure the rapid antigen testing like the Abbott Binax now. It's a low cost test that can be self-administered or administered at home for $5 to $10. We've been trying to purchase a lot of those kits, and we have been unable to. And governors from other states had identified the same need. So we are working with the White House. We want to be able to order and get on a regular basis tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of these rapid antigen tests. When I went to COP26, I was tested 8 times in 7 days. And the rapid antigen testing allowed me to know each and every day that I was virus-free. And we do hope to have those kinds of tests available. We know that our public schools would like them if someone should turn up symptomatic. And all across the country, we see very specific programs that we can implement if we had access to these low cost and rapid tests. And so, we are working to get and secure a commitment for a large number of these. We do believe that it will help us identify when there's a surge or an outbreak, those who are sick, and be able to provide better health care to them.
Thank you. Next reporter is Scott Kim from Hawaii Public Radio. Go ahead, Scott.
Thank you. This question is for the governor. Getting back to the issue of a potential surge in the winter of COVID cases. Earlier today, Mayor Blangiardi said that the city is nimble and can respond to any surge. Can you address the state's readiness to potentially step in again as the lead entity coordinating a response to a surge? Is that something you've discussed with the mayors?
Certainly the state is prepared to help and support each and every county. We have been working together to make testing available statewide. And we have had discussions about how we can work together to relax restrictions and continue to be ready to respond to an increase in cases. At the same time, I think we all recognize that with everyone's help, everyone's commitment to implementing the mask mandates and the physical distance restrictions, that we as a community have done much better than others in reducing the cases that we're seeing. And because of that, we do feel confident that we can relax these restrictions. And we know that we are prepared to respond should we have to.
Great. Thank you. And Governor, it looks like we have no more reporter questions, so if you'd like to conclude.
So just wanted to thank all the mayors and the other guests that we have had on our press conference today. We all want to express during this time of Thanksgiving our appreciation to the people of Hawaii for being willing to make the sacrifices and follow the restrictions that we know have helped us reduce the rate of infections here in the state of Hawaii. As we approach the holiday season, we do want to encourage everyone to be vigilant. If you are not vaccinated, please get vaccinated. That's the best long-term way to get out of this pandemic. And most importantly, I think, please remain vigilant. And we are working through and hoping to recover our economy and get everyone back to work. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Governor. This concludes the news conference for today. Mahalo for joining.